Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to a new episode of the 6 a.m. Club, the place where we start our day inspired. We want to welcome, as every Friday, all the listeners from the Leading Yourself podcast. Every Friday, we are sharing our 6 a.m. Club episode of the day. And just to let you know, if you like this short inspirational episodes, know that you can join us Monday through Friday by subscribing to the 6 a.m. Club, and you can find the link to do so on the show notes of this podcast episode. With that, let's kick off our day inspired with today's quote. Every day we pick a random quote, we talk about what that quote speaks to us, and then we have an invitation or a call to action at the end. So today's quote says, "Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start." Let me read it one more time. Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start. I love this quote because many times, and I think this is just human nature, right? We are in the midst of a difficult situation, or our circumstances are not optimal, and I'm making air quotes here, you can't see me, for where we want to go or what we want to achieve, or just we feel trapped in our circumstances. And we let our circumstances to become our cage or the four walls that contains our potential. We sometimes can be our worst enemy. We can be the ones pulling ourselves back and holding us and either in the past or in the present and preventing ourselves from moving into the future. Because we look around and we can't see past those current circumstances. And we find excuses in those circumstances around us not to take action towards our goals or our dreams. But let me ask you something. When was a time in the past where your circumstances were not optimal? And time went by and your circumstances changed, and you felt that freedom of breaking through those things. Or you found meaning in the circumstances that once were around you that are not anymore. I bet that the times that you felt the most proud of yourself has been the times that you have broken free from your circumstances, that you have pushed past the limits that your circumstances have imposed in you or you have imposed in yourself when looking at your circumstances. Your circumstances only dictate your starting point. They only dictate where you are starting today. But they don't dictate where you can go. They don't dictate what you can achieve. So here's my invitation for you today. I want you to reflect on what are your current circumstances and how you might be holding yourself back from moving into a brighter future, from achieving your goals or your dreams, because you're seeing yourself trapped in your current circumstances. And then for those circumstances that you identify, think about what could you do? What can you do even today to break through those circumstances? You know, the first step is always the hardest. But once you get past that barrier, your circumstances will no longer hold you back because you would have moved beyond that starting point. So that is our quote for today. Let me read it one more time before I wish you all a happy weekend. Our quote today is, "Your present circumstances don't determine where you can go. They merely determine where you start." How many people we know today that are successful, that have the lives that maybe you aspire to have, that this starting point, their circumstances when they were at that starting point were so much worse than your current circumstances. If they were able to break through their circumstances, so can you. I hope you have an amazing weekend. I will see you here again next Monday for another episode of the 6 a.m. Club.